Luke Skywalker, the legend, the man who failed Ben Solo. I don't like this version of Luke. Luke Skywalker, the strongest Jedi to have ever lived. The man who fought chaos incarnate known as Abeloth. I don't like this version of Luke either. Now, Luke is one of my favorite fictional characters ever, period. He is literally the personification of a hero forged in fire. He wasn't born a hero, he became one. From whiny naive brat to headstrong reckless warrior, then lastly to a resolute but controlled Jedi Knight. But everyone knows that already. Rather, I'd like to speak on the diverging paths Luke Skywalker has been taken on after the events of Return of the Jedi. Why I like and dislike both incarnations of Grandmaster Luke, and why I personally feel it's impossible to write a good version of the Grandmaster. Going in chronological order, let's start with Legends Luke. Since his story is so much more fleshed out, and since his fate is technically a mystery in terms of how he died, summarization time. Going over important parts only. I'll probably miss something, but you get the idea. After the Battle of Endor, fought off remnants of the Empire, found out Palps was back in a clone body, they fought, Luke lost, he fell for a bit, taking his dad's spot for a bit, Sis said ayo, he said you right, and they together pull a trademark Skywalker sweep and kill the old man for good. For good. Started training the next gen of Jedi at Yavin, including Han and Leia's kiddos. Totally fine, no evil spirits there. Later turns out evil spirit lives there, vanquishes it with help of the new Jedi fam. Oh, he gets a babe known as Mara Jade. Babe, wife, same thing. She tried to kill him a lot. Luke is into that kinky stuff. Peace for a bit, then the Yuzong Vong wrecks it all. Luke leads being a badass with the help of the kiddos, pulls a trademark Skywalker sweep, and wins this war. Then, one of Leia's kiddos, Jacen Solo, takes up the family tradition of falling to the dark side and starts another war. Oh, Jacen killed Luke's babe. Luke went off. War ends when Jaina, Han's other kiddo, kills her bro. Also, relationship issues between the Republic and the Jedi are happening. Luke was like, hell no, I saw this on R2's holo, I'm out. He and his son Ben went out to find out why Jacen pulled an Anakin. They meet a bunch of Sith fanboys and the literal incarnation of chaos, Abeloth, also known as the mum, adoptive mum of the son and daughter from the episodes from Clone Wars where Anakin tapped into his full potential. Republic and Jedi fix their relationship issues. Luke's back, coordinates efforts to get rid of Abeloth. With the help of the Jedi, Sith fanboys, and Darth Krayt, one-time character, never will pop up again, defeat Abeloth. Luke, knowing she'll be back one day, tells his Jedi fam to look for Mortis, to claim the shiv, butter knife, dagger, same thing, whatever, that was used to kill the ones during the Clone Wars. Sometime later, Luke retires and eventually becomes one with the Force and can haunt people now. Summary over. I just realized I forgot to mention Thrawn. It's fine. Now, why would I dislike this version of Luke Skywalker? He does everything that we thought he would do and more. Brings back the Jedi Order, and arguably its strongest incarnation, arguably gets to his full potential where all other Skywalkers did not, maintains his hopeful, optimistic outlook, and is overall the badass and firm Jedi Grandmaster that everyone expected him to become. While I don't dislike Legends Luke during his transition phase from Jedi Knight to Jedi Master, my problems with Luke really start when the Vong show up. Simply put, I feel he suffers the same problem as Superman, where he is so ridiculously strong compared to everyone and everything else around him. Writers have to do one of two things in order for him to be put in actual danger and have stakes on the line. The first way they did this is to have Luke handicapped in some way, whether it be the Vong literally being force resistant, or in his face-off with Jacen, being injured during said encounter, and not wanting to kill Jacen in fear that he will fall to the dark side, since Jacen did kill his wife. The second way Luke was placed in actual danger would be that the writer would just create an opponent that was just stronger than Luke, aka Abeloth. While this is normally fine were it to happen to any other character, when you have to create the equivalent to a god to have your character to be placed in danger, you have to admit that it's pretty ridiculous. However, I don't entirely fault Luke for becoming this strong, as Luke is the son of Anakin, an individual who's supposed to possess the highest potential ever seen in the entirety of the Star Wars mythos. Rather, I wish that the powers in the Force he would come to possess were not so reality-bending. I mean, the ability of oneness, while cool as a one-time thing, is really absurd. Oneness is basically if you were to gain creative mode for a short period of time. Whilst most characters would die after using it, Luke lives, and while it is debated whether or not he gained oneness against Abeloth, all signs point to he did, and he still lived after that. So he would have used it twice if it was oneness that he used against Abeloth. Don't get me started on how he moved a black hole with the Force. Simply put, I like Legends Luke earlier on. I dislike just how impervious he became later on. As for canon Luke, after the Battle of Endor, Luke trains his sis for a bit, Leia stops after seeing the death of her son in the vision, Luke continues to fight remnants of the Empire, Battle of Jakku happens, Luke leaves to fight to pursue knowledge to create the new Jedi fam, meets Baby Yoda, not Grogu, Baby Yoda on the way, trains him for a bit, Baby misses Pops, Baby leaves for Pops. Oh, Ahsoka's also there. They give each other this weird look. Luke is into older ladies, I see. Time passes, Luke trains Leia's kiddo, Ben Solo. During this time, they encounter some dark side fanboys. Luke pulls a trademark Skywalker sweep, obviously. After some time, Luke feels that Ben's getting cold, tries to find Exegol, a Sith world, meets Sith Wraiths in a vision, is about to get wrecked by them until his pops saves him. Fails to find Exegol ultimately. Some more time passes, Luke feels Ben's getting really cold. Thinks about putting him out of his misery, then Ben follows the family tradition of falling to the dark side. Oh, and Ben pulls a Skywalker sweep on the Jedi fam with the help of dark side fanboys. Luke enters a depression, changes his name to Jake, and enters self-exile on Ahch-To. After a bit, some girl known as Rey demands training from Luke. Jake is like, I'm Jake, no Luke here. Rey settles for Jake, and after Chewbacca breaks into Jake's one-room apartment, Jake agrees to train Rey. Trains her for a bit, she finds out what happened between him and Ben, leaves. Luke then finds out Ben's trying to pull off a trademark Skywalker sweep, and puts a stop to it by getting on a Discord video call with Ben on Crate and trolls the hell out of him long enough for the Resistance to escape. Jake leaves the call and leaves life, becoming one with the Force, haunting Rey for the rest of her days. Now, it's pretty damn obvious why I would dislike canon Luke, notably his appearance in the sequel trilogy. Grandmaster Jake is the total antithesis of Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker in terms of outlook towards the future. However, I personally think it is at the very least an interesting concept that, if I recall correctly, we haven't seen too often in Star Wars. A grouchy, pessimistic, resigned master training a hopeful, eager, and optimistic student. While Luke and Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back is the closest to said description of such a duo, Yoda wasn't pessimistic or resigned in terms of training Luke. This concept has never been put into the forefront and had a magnifying glass on such a dynamic. Grandmaster Jake has a ton of potential. Rather, he suffers from poor planning and poor writing overall. Pretty much the entire sequel trilogy, really. But the Luke Skywalker seen in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and some other media here and there is what fans always wanted to see. A resolute, controlled, and most importantly, experienced Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. Also, he's not absolutely overpowered, or the few times we've seen him, does not display any sort of body language that implies that. In his appearance in The Mandalorian, his movements don't display someone who's relaxed or at ease. His movements communicate to the audience of someone who's controlled, ready, focused on a singular task, to save everyone's lives as a Jedi should. Luke's appearance in the Book of Boba Fett was an individual who has experienced much in life, similarly to Jedi Knight Anakin, but doesn't quite possess the wisdom of someone like an old Ben Kenobi, and certainly nothing like the aging Grandmaster Yoda. Luke's media appearances after the Battle of Endor doesn't make him out to be the be-all and end-all. While that's what the Star Wars galaxy believes the legend of Luke Skywalker being essentially an impervious demigod, we, the audience, see what Luke is really like. While powerful and knowledgeable, he still lacks the particular insight and perception that his masters possessed. Overall, Grandmaster Jake could have been something but was squandered. Whilst this is the best look we've ever gotten to see of Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, who arguably lives up to the tales of the Jedi during a much more civilized age. So, Both given incarnations of Luke, legends and canon, have given us an excellent version of the Jedi Master, but personally, I believe both failed to deliver a convincing and believable Grand Master Luke Skywalker. Then again, there's so much anticipation and expectations for the legendary figure. Mind you, that a rewritten Grandmaster Luke will always be compared to the Legends Luke or World Between Worlds Anakin from Ahsoka, whether it be in a positive or negative comparison to bring up or bring down a hypothetical rewrite of the Grandmaster. I don't want a Grandmaster Luke who's seemingly impervious. I want someone who remains vulnerable. I don't want an all-powerful being, but someone who's confident in the abilities he possesses. An individual who's prepared for everything they can possibly be with the limited knowledge the Grand Master would have given how much information was lost over the years after the Jedi Purge. An example of how a writer could show a powerful but vulnerable Grand Master could be shown Luke dealing with conventional threats in a calm and focused manner, and perhaps introducing more esoteric threats, like perhaps Night Sister magic, to show that the Grand Master still has much to learn of the higher mysteries of the Force. However, I fear that the entirety of the fanbase has a divided and differing expectation for such a figure, that it's just impossible to give such a character that satisfies everyone's expectations, or even the majority of the fans' expectations. Luke's had his hero's journey, but it seems that writing a satisfactory continuation after that journey is what eludes writers. Luke Skywalker, the farm boy, the rebel pilot, the reckless warrior, the self-proclaimed Jedi Knight. I love this version of Luke. But this version of Luke also shackles his continuation. Obviously, comparisons will be made to Luke of the original trilogy, whether the writing is up to snuff, if the character progression makes logical sense, power scaling, and new and current relations with other characters from past and future. Constant comparison will perhaps forever shackle him. Maybe I'm eating my words. Maybe. Honestly, I could never in a million millennia write a continuation for such a character. I wish luck to those who tackle this challenge. May the Force be with you. Anyways, gonna use the bathroom now. After that, we'll watch an unarchived stream of Bale's Hakos.
Sustaining damage. Pointless evasion.